Hi, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kira.
And we are the Keepers of the Books, your online librarians, and we are here with a weekly reads episode. Our books range from middle grade through adult this week, and we have some great, fantastic audiobooks to share, including Endurance by Scott Kelly, Origin by Dan Brown, Warcross by Marie Lu, and Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. So stay tuned for all of those books. Lots of them are New York Times bestsellers.
Harry Potter, A Journey Through a History of Magic by the British Library. This book features all the information you could ever want to know about the world of Harry Potter, including Diagon Alley, Minerva McGonagall. It also features Harry Potter's journey from book 1 all the way through book 7. I love the illustrations in this book. The details that they give are ones that are facts I've always wanted to know about Harry Potter. I like how well it's laid out because it's easy to follow, and I think fans of Harry Potter are really going to want to pick this one up. A Journey Through a History of Magic by the British Library.
The Unlikely Story of a Pig in the City. This is by Jodi Kendall, and it is a review copy from HarperCollins. This story is about Josie Schilling, who is from a large family that lives in the city in a very small home. Sometimes she feels all by herself, even though she is surrounded by a ton of people. So she's kind of got the chaos of there being craziness everywhere, and yet feeling emotionally like she's nothing like them, or she has a different opinion than everyone else. On Thanksgiving, her older brother Tom comes home from college, and he brings a piglet. Of course, he's saving the piglet from its untimely death just for being the smallest runt in the litter.
Sounds familiar.
It is a read-alike for Charlotte's Web, yes. A little bit of a modern telly on that. Josie is a gymnast, and she lives for being a gymnast, but her family is tight on money, and she needs new grips. She needs a couple $100 for the next year in competitions and membership fees for her club, and she does not know where her family is going to get this. She's saving all of her money that she can from her odd jobs and babysitting, that kind of thing, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. When her brother brings home this pig, there is an instant bond, and she names it Hamlet. Now, Hamlet, being the type of pig he is, grows very, very quickly. So in a very Harry Potter-esque style, she makes a little bed for him in a nook under the stairs. But he tends to be a pig, gets out. There are many pig-related catastrophes in this book. And she's learning how to board and care for this pig, but it's not quite so simple. And she's trying to keep it secret from her neighbor, Mrs. Taglioni, because she's not so into pigs. Her parents give her the job of finding Hamlet a forever home, but it's quite a difficult task because most of the people just want to make bacon out of Hamlet. And that's not acceptable for Josie. So in this story, you get to know a little girl going through all the ups and downs that you do at this age, and also trying to take care of an animal and finding out that she loves this creature, but yet she knows that the relationship is not meant to be. This one is for grades 4 through 8. It is adorable, and it's sweet and cute, and readers are going to love this one, especially if they want another book like Charlotte's Web.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the illustrated edition by J.K. Rowling, illustrated by Jim Kay. Admittedly, book 3 in the Harry Potter series is my absolute favorite, so I was a little biased to begin with this book. The illustrator does an awesome job of illustrating this book. This is exactly how I imagined Buckbeak to look. And I just love how he brings to life the pictures along with the text, and you really get engrossed in the story even more so than you did in the first go-around of the text. But there's also Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, also illustrated by Jim Kay, so make sure you pick up all 3 because you're going to want to pick these ones up. These are definitely perfect for a birthday or Christmas present, and they're definitely ones kids will treasure for many moons to come.
Forget Me Not by Ellie Terry. This book is about Calliope June. She has a mother who moves her every time she breaks up with a boyfriend. So this is move number 10. Her mother says, "Come on, we're moving." And they drive and drive from Salt Lake to St. George, which is about a 4-hour drive. But for those of you who don't know, St. George is built in the middle of a desert. Red rock everywhere. It's absolutely beautiful. Blue sky, the desert, red sand. And that is what strikes Calliope when she first gets there and picks up a stone to put in her egg crate. Her egg crate is a stone she has saved from everywhere she has lived. She's hoping that this is the last stone she has to put in her egg crate. She goes to school the first day. She's kind of getting used to this, but it's still hard the first day at a new school to get to know people, to make friends. But to make things much harder and a little bit worse, she has Tourette syndrome. And her doctor and mother have advised her to hide it. She gets to know the boy across the hall in their apartment building. His name is Jin Song, and he seems very, very nice. That evening, part of her disorder, one of her tics, is pulling her hair out, so her mother chops her hair really short. And on the first day of school, she goes with very short hair. And Jin Song wonders what happens to her hair. She's very proud of her hair, so to have it gone makes her very frustrated and angry. And so she's at school, she's trying to hide her tics, but she croaks like a frog on the first day, and people start making fun of her, except for Jin Song. But he seems to want to be her friend, only not at school. He kind of ignores her at school, and he's a little ashamed of his behavior. He's the student body class president. This is a really endearing story where you get to know a character from their side and deal with their troubles and learn a little bit about something you may not have known a lot about. It's written in verse, so you have a lot of really short pages and a lot of white space, which is great for a lot of struggling readers or reluctant readers to be able to turn those pages kind of quickly. And each poem's kind of like a little section or chapter, and that really provides a lot of help for reluctant readers. The author herself is from Utah, and she does have Tourette syndrome. You get a very realistic view of what it's like to be a student in that situation. This is a definite read and a read-alike for things like Wonder, Counting by Sevens, and other books like that. And this is a great book for grades 4 through 8.
Michael Vey, book number 7, The Final Spark. This is the last one in the series. For those of you who haven't read the first 6, you may want to fast forward to Jessica's next book, Warcross, just because this is awfully hard not to spoil. Michael is also someone who has Tourette's, and he has superpowers related
Doesn't Richard Paul Evans have Tourette's as well?
So Michael has disappeared after the last battle. He uses his powers, nobody can find him. There's rumors going around of a lightning god. Could this be Michael? What's happened is the Electro Clan teens, the other ones who have the superpowers, are divided. They all have differing opinions about how to defeat Hatch. Hatch is obviously the villain in this book. He wants to take over the whole government, and he'll stop at nothing to get the other Electro Clan members under his fist. And to do so, he has taken Michael's mom and is using her as bait. But where's Michael? And can they figure out how to finally defeat the Elgin? It's a very action-packed book filled with lots of humor and science fiction. For fans of the Michael Vey series by Richard Paul Evans, you'll want to pick up this book.
Warcross by Marie Lu. This one, I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator is Nancy Wu. Mika Chen, also known as Emmy, is a bounty hunter, and she does whatever she can to make ends meet, which means she's got a job as a waitress, she's doing the bounty hunter thing, and she's not making it. So on the side, she's a hacker and a gamer. Warcross is the game, and the International Warcross Championship has just come up and started, and they're in like the pre-game. She's going to hack in, she's going to steal this game piece that's worth a ton of money because the International Championship has game pieces that can only be found there. These are kind of like cheats. And she's going to sell it on the black market that's emerged around this game so that she can survive. But she accidentally glitches into the game and she's there because it's kind of a virtual reality type thing. And the game creator is Hideo Tanaka. And he's like, okay, this girl's a pretty good hacker. I need her. So he sends for her, flies her all the way across the world, and says, hey, I want to insert you as a wild card into this game. I need your help. I need your hacker skills. I need you to be in the game because there is another hacker that is trying to spoil this game and hurt people. I need you to be my spy, and you need to be right there. This other hacker has nefarious intentions, and Hideo wants him found and caught. This is a great book for people who like Marie Lu, and for people who like
I Have Minds by James Dashner,
Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, Brainjack by Faulkner, or Leveler by Julia Durango. So these are some great books that are read-alikes. If you like this one, you'll like those. If you like those, you'll like this one. You really get to know the character. Of course, there is more to the plot than meets that initial description because every good plot is very deep. And the narrator, Nancy Wu, does a great job. You can tell the voices apart, and she has some great intonations and emotions to help bring you into the story, and you get stuck there and caught, and you can't stop listening.
She has a great narrative style that works well with this author.
I would say this is for grades 7 and up or ages 12 and up. The audiobook for Warcross was a review book from Penguin Random House.
Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. So I listened to this one. The narrator is Kate Rudd. 17-year-old Asa has severe OCD and she's a germaphobe. And she has anxiety. Asa and her friend Daisy decide they want the $100,000 reward for finding Russell Davis Pickett, who is a billionaire who's disappeared and is wanted by the law. Slight little dilemma. Davis Pickett, Russell's son, is an old friend of Asa's, and when she runs into him while trying to investigate the dad's disappearance, she realizes she still has a crush on him. This whole time she's dealing with trying to come to terms with her OCD and wanting to be normal. So her friend Daisy won't get so mad at her and so that she can be normal for Davis. But because her OCD is so severe and not very well controlled, she's having a lot of trouble controlling it. So this is not only a mystery, but it's also realistic fiction and dealing with her internal struggles. If you like books about mental health illness or mystery stories, you'll want to pick this one up. It has some fun romance in it as well. I would recommend this probably for grades 8 and up or ages 13 and up. So there's some minor kissing, some language. Mostly because of the story and what's going on, it will appeal more to the older age range. And the audiobook for Turtles All the Way Down was also a review book from Penguin Random House.
Endurance by Scott Kelly. This was an audio review book from Penguin Random House, and it was narrated by Scott Kelly. It honestly took me just a little bit to get into the narrator's voice. It's narrated by the author, which is great, but I'm used to listening to mostly fiction, and fiction and non-fiction are narrated in very different ways. So it's mostly just me getting used to the non-fiction narration. And his voice was perfect for this because you could feel his emotion and his connection to the events that happened. And when you're listening to somebody talk, you can tell how they're connecting, to an event, if they're happy, if they're sad, if they're mournful, troubled, and you can hear that in the author's voice. That was really, really good. It opens up with him having just come home from spending a year on the International Space Station, and he's having trouble adjusting. He was the first of two men, well, there were two men at the same time, one from Russia and one from the United States, to spend a year on the International Space Station. Nobody had ever spent that long before. With being there that long, they wanted to see how it would affect their bodies, and with Scott having a twin brother here on Earth, they could monitor and see the differences in how they handle being in space and what would have happened to his identical twin brother who stayed on Earth the whole time. So they get a better idea that way. Scott was a very poor student. He did not do well in school, and ever since he was a little kid, he wanted to be a jet pilot. He loved anything that had an adrenaline rush. His history of his family life, I would say it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't all peaches and cream either. There were some not so happy points of it. And both of the brothers decided they wanted to be astronauts and jet pilots. This is Scott's life story. And it talks about how he had to take the long way around because he was a poor student, and he ended up having to really overcome that and prove to people, unlike his brother who was a good student and went the shorter route to the Navy. Both of them ended up becoming Navy pilots, and they both became astronauts. But I think Scott definitely took the longer, harder route of the two of them. It does discuss his first marriage and his daughters and his second relationship and the rest of his life. This book is part journal and part autobiography. So you've got the journal part of his year in space that he goes through and everything they go through to get there and be on the International Space Station, the cooperation with Russia and the other space agencies and how they work together. Some of the events that happen while he's in space and even times in space before that, and how he kind of misses out on that part because those are moments he'll never necessarily be a part of the same way. So the congresswoman who got shot in Arizona, that was his sister-in-law, and he was in space when that happened. Definitely something hard to deal with when you're not there with your family. And the other part, the autobiography part, you hear his journey through school, how he becomes a good student and he learns to study, and how in high school and college those grades really do hamper him. It seems unlikely that he's going to make it through his dreams so many times. Anyways, it does discuss this family life and a lot of the other things that they've had to deal with. I really liked the pairing of the two together and how everything came together. It really is a good memoir to make people understand that you got to work hard in life and you got to go for your dreams and not give up. I would say, even though this isn't going to appeal to everyone in 8th grade, this book is great for grades 8 and up or ages 13 and up.
Yesterday's Tomorrow, Disney's Magical Mid-Century by Dawn Hahn. This is from D23 for all fans of Disney, the official community. So this is a very entertaining book and a very quick read. I loved learning the history of Walt Disney and how he started up Disneyland as well as the Disney Company. And I can see why fans would want to read this book. So I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know about Disney, including how he, in 1946, had a imaginary house of what he thought the future would look like in 1986. Considering that was 30 years ago, it was a very entertaining read to see what he got right and what he didn't. And I was surprised, he actually got quite a bit right. He was very innovative, and for example, he thought that houses would have turnstiles that would bring your food to you. He also thought that everybody would have push-button speakerphones, and many other things that we did have at one point but have since gotten past, like large entertainment systems in your living room. Another cool thing I learned that I didn't know he had done was he did a lot of educational shorts about things in space and science. And he also predicted our futuristic cars.
Hey, we do.
We do. It's like, he had a lot of cool ideas that did come true. The illustrations are great. The text is very informative and engaging, and I would recommend this for even those who aren't like huge Disney fans, but if you are, you'll definitely want to pick this one up too. This is a review copy from D23
Origin by Dan Brown. This is the 5th book in the Robert Langdon series. This is completely set in Spain, so you don't have like the globe trotting like you have in some of the other books earlier in this series. And this was a review copy from Penguin Random House. And the narrator was Paul Michael. Paul Michael is a great narrator. And while he's narrated some other stuff, especially nonfiction, this seems to be, to me, his most famous fiction series, and seems to be where he got his really big start, was in this series, in narrating fiction. So he's the same narrator you've heard for quite a while if you've been listening to this series. His voice is very enchanting and easy to listen to.
He does a great job with voices too.
He does. This book opens up with a friend of Robert Langdon's who is making a big announcement to the tight-knit leaders of the religious community, the kind of like the Pope and the head of Judaism. He says he's going to just
blow their religions out of the water, basically.
Right. That he's going to turn them all on their heads. He says he can do away with religion. Now, for this reason, this book has taken a lot of criticism. But for those who are criticizing it and saying that this book is anti-religion, I'm going to say that you did not read the entire book. There's no way. Now, stop trying to get books thrown out when you didn't read the whole thing. It's just not right.
I agree. And we can definitely go on a whole rant about that. Trust us.
We're librarians. And besides, when you try to censor a book, you just propel it for the bestsellers list, because that's what trying to censor a book does.
There's a reason when you tell somebody not to do something, that they do it.
That is the best publicity a book can get when you try to censor it. But again, I'm going to say you did not read this book, because that's not what this book is truly about. Robert Langdon's friend is going to have this big exposition, and he's going to let the world know at an announcement. So the leaders of this religious community think they have a few months and that they need to act on this. As they put their plan into place to act on it, he doesn't know that they're out to censor his speech, but he moves his talk up and he's going to make his announcement the next day at the museum. But he is killed. He's murdered before he can finish his speech. The only one who can save it is Robert Langdon, who's been invited to this opening event and to be part of it. Now, Robert Langdon must solve his friend's murder and break into the encrypted software so that he can present his friend's discovery to the world.
And figure out his friend's discovery. What it really
He has to
means.
figure it out too, because he doesn't know it. And
his friend is really good at sending people on scavenger hunts. So if you like things like the movie National Treasure, this would be it right up your alley.
So this book, when you read it to the very end, it really makes you think and ponder. And I really, really like and respect how Dan Brown dealt with the religious versus the non-religious community in this book and how he brings everybody together.
I like how he said that science and religion are basically just trying to prove the same thing, just in a different way.
Two sides of the same coin. So anyways, it was a good book, and I don't remember any language or any content like that. To me, this book's main theme is love, and this book is appropriate for grades 8 and up or ages 13 and up, even though it's an adult book. The Art of Tennessee Loveless, the Mickey Mouse 10 by 10 by 10 contemporary pop art series. So this book is mostly art, but the first part is the history of this series. And Loveless, colorblind, and he has limited chromatopsia, means that he can't really see colors. He mostly sees like saturations or hues. He really wanted to be an artist. He wasn't the best student. He had ADHD, trouble with math and science, but he loved to draw. So he decided he was going to art school. Art school did not really like him because he didn't really understand the color. Anyways, he worked at California Pizza Kitchen, he waited tables, and had some other odd jobs. And he did end up working for Disney at one point where he kind of worked on and finished his hue scale, where he renamed all the colors so that he knew what they were with a code, and he could figure out how they complement and how they contrast, and that's how he ended up becoming an artist with lots and lots of color. And contemporary pop art, he had some great things, and this ended up being organized into kind of chapters or themes, and each one has the pictures in it, and they're all Mickey Mouse in his face. Now this right here, this diamond, Tennessee Loveless had some rough times in his childhood, and diamonds were the hardest thing on earth. So this is his personal power symbol, and you will find it in a lot of the pictures. And I think this one is my absolute favorite. This one's part of the Contemporary Modern collection. He has an entire collection based on the 80s and things that you saw in the 80s. And some of it's a little controversial and some of it where it seemed like it was at the time. Really pay attention to the words in the pictures. I think they say a lot, and that they are actually incorporated in the pictures means that they mean something to it. Some beautiful art, a great story about each piece and how the author was inspired and everything that goes with it. And this is a review copy from Disney Editions. All right, thank you to all those companies that gave us review copies. That was a lot of fun. We hope you found a book that you want to read or listen to this week. And if you like any of these and want to read any of them, please put the thumbs up down there. Or if you just liked the video, maybe we saved you some time because you decided that book might not quite be for you. And please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that other people hear about great reviews from Librarian. And if you want a book reviewed, put it in the comments, and we like to read. Or if you want read-alikes or some suggestions, we'll put that in the comments too, and we'll help you out. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.